Nerd On the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
And Caitlin, in her hubris, is like, she.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On the Podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Yeah,
Great Scott, and welcome to the 3rd anniversary event of Nerd On. We couldn't have made it here without you, and now that we are here, we're going to be going back in time. Today, we're getting our yearly tradition with the first of a classic trilogy, Back to the Future. We like doing this every year, but before we get too deep into time travel, I am one of your hosts, Ali.
And I am one of your hosts, Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Corey.
And I am not one of your hosts. I am Josh. No.
Oh.
I am one of your
You are
hosts.
the host.
And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation. That is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears but you. You get access to secret channels on our Discord server. You get discounts on merch. You get all sorts of fun stuff. It's a good time. But check it out.
It's a real
Nerdon.
fun time.
Yeah, it's a super fun time. The Discord is getting to a place where I open it up and it's almost like you can't even keep up. Like there's just so much
Almost.
going on.
So
And-
cool it, guys.
It's
Don't
you're
though.
playing-
It's really cool.
Especially in that food porn channel, don't stop.
Food porn and furry friends there's always something going on.
Neither
all the
what they
furries,
sound
too.
like.
But yes, check out the
Something for
Nerd On
everyone.
Nation, nerdon.tv/Patreon, and check out that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. And a huge shout out to our partners in crime, Apogee Electronics, who have equipped us with these microphones, the Hype Mic, the ultimate podcasting microphone. Cannot suggest it enough if you are looking to do what we do, content creation, podcasts, videos. We use them for everything that we do, and I highly
It's true.
suggest them. And Odyssey headphones, they have the official, they have officially
Recognized our
recognized.
words.
if your ears were mouths, they taste like butter,
It's true.
and it's true. It's good stuff.
It's true.
Check them out. They come with that. Look, I mean, if you're watching the video, Tom is showing the fancy carrying case they come with. It's super fancy. Yeah,
Like
check
a
them
so
out.
nice
Take
in
the
your
cables
hand.
out if you want.
Huh?
And then you can't hear anything. Like,
But yeah, check them out, Apogee and Odyssey. And that, my friends, is the housekeeping. Let us go back to the future.
You know what's crazy, though? You know what's fucking wild?
What?
What,
that?
Tom?
Is that this is the first time, and I feel like in eternity, that we are able to rate this film at the very end of the episode. So what does that mean, boys and girls, darlings and children and adults and men and women and nerds and furries and all you time travel, you slackers, you.
Where you going, Tom?
That means right now we're going to go our first segment, which is one of my favorite segments, and I
Oh,
hope
yeah,
it's yours
baby.
too. And it's called
Guess
Guess That
That
Grump.
Go.
Power level
rated the lowest out of Josh.
Guess that grump.
time. If you're brand new to Nerd On, you could send your ear drum bills to your medical provider.
To your doctors.
To
Not
doctors.
us.
Not us. We can't afford it.
Use
But-
your volume responsibly.
Exactly. So this part of the show is where we're going to go around the digital screens. If you're not watching it on YouTube, you should be. And we're going to guess who's going to have the lowest score out of a rating out of 0 out of 5. And no matter how high the number is, you will be the grump for the week. And since I always explain it, and it's been a long time since I've done it, I'm going to go first.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
I am going to guess that the grump for the Back to the Future 1, the first film of this 3-part epic trilogy, Eat Your Heart Out, Endgame, is going to be Corey.
Me? Okay.
No, fuck. No, I take it
No,
back.
Wait, you already said it.
You said
Said
it, man. All right, that's one for
No
Corey.
take backsies.
The only reason, okay.
You thought about it for too long.
The only reason I thought of like, who likes the second one more than the first one?
That's true. Well, he's not wrong.
And
He's
so I was
not
like,
wrong.
We also have an upper limit on score, though.
Who else we got? Who's next?
Who's next?
Corey, popcorn to you.
I'm taking some notes on
Oh,
everybody.
Caitlin, go.
I think it's gonna be.
It's tough. It's a tough
Josh.
one. Ooh, okay.
Josh.
You know I'm
One for
wrong,
Corey,
but
one
I
for
had to
Josh.
pick someone.
Josh, what you got? Who you got?
I'm gonna pick Corey.
Okay, 2 for Corey. Ali.
I'm going to go with Tom.
The fuck? I'm
Okay.
wearing a shirt
Oh, wait.
from the movie.
Yeah.
You said it.
Nope,
you
you're
said
right.
it.
Yeah,
No take
take
backsies.
backsies.
I'm going to keep it.
Backsies.
I'm going to go with Tom. I'm going to say
Yeah.
that's a
Right.
that's
I
a
want to
diversion.
go. I want to go on record saying I don't think there's going to be one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
That's-
we do
We're not allowed to have that
guess.
option, are we?
No,
No.
we aren't, which is why I followed it up with, but I do have to guess. So I will say, yeah, this is tough. I will
love how-
say,
Ollie is like trying not to look at the call to be like, don't pick me, don't pick me, don't pick me, don't pick me, don't pick me.
you know
Doing
what?
the-
I will
doing
pick
the-
Ollie because he doesn't have a vote yet. So Ollie, join
He's
the
all-
ranks.
He's all
Yeah.
feeling all sad.
Join
He's
the
like, I
ranks of
remember when I
votes.
used to get voted on.
And then we got the Nerd On Nation over here.
Yes.
So
Tell
Go
us
ahead and
about
give
it.
them- Yeah. With this, if you join the Nerd On Nation, you can partake in the polls of Guess That Grump. If you get it correct, you get a shout out on the show, but your votes also go towards the final tally on who reveals what in what order. So with that, the Nerd On Nation has
Voted.
spoken. Yes.
And
Really?
They have chosen in majority that it will be Caitlin.
Meaning I'm the one with 2 and everyone else has 1. So I get to go last and
I don't
everyone
have
else
any.
gets-
Do I have
You
any?
do, yeah, absolutely, 100%. You have
Ollie
one.
chose
So
you.
Dumb son of a
everyone
bitch.
else, you fight for who goes first, and I'll just sit here and smile.
Alphabetical.
Me?
So now we're going to go to the complete spoiler of that, which is going to be our initial reactions and first impressions. We're all in spoiler-free territory. So if you haven't watched the film, go watch it. It's good for you.
Pretty
It,
good.
it makes you feel better.
It's
who
good
would like
for
to go?
you.
Who would like to?
I'll go
How about?
first,
How about?
since I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the
He's got the most
here.
votes.
I fucking love these movies,
Well,
and I've seen these movies. I don't remember I honestly don't remember I've seen them so many times. I don't remember the first time I saw it. But I've watched these probably once a year, every year, that I can remember. If
All
not
right.
pretty close to it. The only other movies I really watch as much as these, just because they're so feel good, I watch Lord of the Rings more. But these are such like, I'm either I'm having a rough night and I just need something to cheer me up. I know what I'll do. I'll watch Back to the Future. Or I'm having a cozy night in. I just kind of want to take it easy. I know what I'll do. I'll watch Back to the Future. I think I said this during our stream as well. I said I think in order my favorites are 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3. Excuse me. There's no 4 like Indiana Jones. So I would have to say that this one just has a special place in my heart. I'm a big fan of Christopher Lloyd and anything he does, and Michael J. Fox is who didn't, as Tom said, who didn't want to be Michael J. Fox? What kid didn't want to be when they were younger with having an old guy as a friend and traveling through time. So, with that said, I love this movie.
Caitlin.
I like the movie
Oh.
There it is.
a lot. I've always liked the Back to the Future movies. I speed watched all of them just to play the Telltale game long ago. There's something about that time period that normally I don't really enjoy portrayed in media, but for whatever reason, Back to the Future did it in a way where I was like, "Oh, this is fun. I like this."
Is it the racism?
I don't know what it is. Sorry,
Is it the
50s, you
racism?
mean? Or
maybe
The 80s.
maybe it's the racism.
Accuracy.
Is it calling people spooks?
Yeah, certainly not really a fan of that to any degree at all. No, but they did it in such a way where people felt real, and like even these fantastical situations felt real. So
Just for clarification, do you mean like the 50s? That
Or the
time period
80s?
or the 80s?
80s.
Oh.
Got it.
So
Well,
not
I'm
the
not
racism.
very fond of the 80s. I'm also not super fond of the 50s. As well, but especially the 80s portrayed in media specifically. I'm not a fan.
So any 80s movie in general that takes place in like real time.
Right.
So any of Stranger Things.
That's a different topic. I feel like that
we
was a
find
different,
all of the.
It's the
What about
80s portrayed in media.
right, but like
Yeah. No, I
Back to
get
the
you.
Future and Stranger Things are like two of the examples where it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Most of the time it does, but these specific two examples do not.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that the first film takes place in the 80s. So it's a real life depiction of their own time. Whereas Stranger Things remembers all the things of the 80s. So it's highlighting things even harder than what the realistic version would have been.
Right.
So like if we did a film about like the early 2000s, everyone is going to have a Razor phone. You know, like
Right.
that wasn't a normal thing. But
It also
everyone
kind
has
of
a
starts with
But that's
like
what
that-
people remember.
the 80s sort of format of like Breakfast Club, you know, like
John
those kinds
Hughes.
of movies, like
Yeah.
John Hughes flavor movie. It kind of has that style beginning. You
I
know,
mean, they came
until
out
you-
right in the middle of all that.
Yeah. But go on,
Yeah.
Kaylin.
But yeah, I like the whimsy of it and the sciencey aspects of it. I like it. That's all. We'll get to all the meaty bits later.
Meaty.
Ali?
I love this movie. I adore the trilogy. I've seen them more than I can count. And yeah, when it's the characters are instantly likable. The story's easy to grasp immediately. I mean, anytime you're dealing with time travel, you have a very easy you can very easily confuse your audience, and none of that, there's none of that in this. And it's totally like a family movie. Like everybody can kind of stay on track and have a good time. And like I said, it has that John Hughes flavor, which I really like and really appeals to me. So it just feels very genuine and very real amidst all this like fantastic time travel. So it's like it somehow manages to marry those two sort of themes and in such a almost effortless way that it's like it's hard. It's a shame that we haven't seen like so many more examples of like Back to the Future style movies where they've able to pull off like this so well, like those two themes together.
Josh cries in Bill and Ted.
Very few. There's like Caitlin's point, there's like shining examples.
Mhm.
And this is definitely, I would say it's probably one of my like highest shining examples of like sci-fi meets like really humanistic, relatable characters, that like character driven story that like is really satisfying and pays off in really great ways.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Nope.
introduces just a slew of pop culture references.
Right.
Oh
course.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Airware.
You want me to go next, Josh?
Yes, please.
I think I can almost count. I think it's at least 52 times because I
Yeah.
think there was a time frame when I was a kid with my sister. We watched it every weekend. And it was like the old VHSs and like the little plastic,
Mhm.
protector VHS thing, which I always felt was like the asshole thing. Because I remember like all the Disney
Why?
films had like the clamshells, and then
Yeah.
all like the adult films had like just the little fucking sleeves.
Oh, the little
The
paper.
cardboard
Then I was
sleeves.
like,
Cardboard.
but I was like, these adult films are like the better movies, so why don't they get the clamshell?
Because
Um,
adults can handle nicer things and kids will destroy those things.
Yeah.
So they need more
That's true.
protection.
What
But then
he
I was
said.
always really weird that like, why did Miracle on 31st Street get that? And I was like, that's and to me that was like an
34th
adult
Street?
movie.
34th Street?
34th
Which is
Street.
31st Street is the prequel.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's,
And
it's three films
It didn't
before.
work as well.
Yeah. It was the
There's nothing
George
on
Lucas
31st Street.
It's the
Oh,
third.
no.
It's the Lucas pre-sequel.
Totally different
trilogy.
movie. Just to
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Klaus actually. So
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
so but no,
Krampus.
I think with this film, it's very hard to not enjoy it. It's very hard to pick it apart, and you can obviously look at all the logic loops and all that stuff and find the factual things that are wrong with it, but there's no denying the amount of tension that they're building upon it, the character development that they're trying to implement, and also the story they're telling of this kind of wacky, zany adventure, and I think, to me, Back to the Future is one of the greater trilogies, merely because, you can always have the ideas like, I would love to do it in a trilogy. I would love to do it in a 3-part or in a saga or in something like that. And the first film feels like I'm going to do everything I can to make this the best film I can make. And if we get the go at it, we can make it. But then we're going to know exactly where we're going to go. And right now, it feels like the climate of filmmaking is that everything has to be a trilogy. There is never just one film. And so sometimes you do just get one chance and you have to do it the best you can. I think that's what this film did. And also, in a way, I think it tickles the Corey bone, and I call that the dark humor stuff of playing with all the weird, incestuous Oedipian stuff. And I've seen countless of interviews of Leah Thompson saying like what she really embodied when she was playing the role of Lorraine Baines. And I agree with it, and I love that. I'm just like, that is some creepy, weird shit, and I'm about it because it's something that it's the wolf in the sheepskin. It's that like, I'm gonna bring you into this, but then I'm gonna have you tackle these things, and also
I will say, Tom, that love has been defined as seeing a part of yourself in someone else. So I think that makes sense in this scenario until the kiss happens, right? She's like, I see a part of myself.
That's the Freudian thing, right?
That's why it's funny.
Freud is always just like, I had a dream about getting dessert. That's a sex dream. It's like, what? Okay.
I feel like Zemeckis heard someone say that phrase. He went, "Oh yeah, let's see how it goes."
Challenge
I think he also
accepted.
heard that like everyone has an Oedipus complex and everyone has an Electra complex, and they're like, so he's just like, get Universal on the phone.
Oh my god.
So no, I
New
absolutely
sound you've been looking for.
yeah.
Oh.
I love this one, and I will do a special shout out of this trilogy, and I'll do it every episode too. Mutual friend of Corey and I's, Netta. She's always like hounding me of when we're going to do a whole trilogy, and this is it. So this is I know
this is her favorite. She was the one who got me to dress up. I even went to work on Back to the Future Day, which was, what was it, October 2015, and we had a watch party of the second film because that's when that happened. He goes to the future.
So
You nerds.
you dumb bitch. I care about you and I love you. So
Oh, wow.
who's next?
She's the best.
Tom's love is very aggressive. For anyone
It
that
is,
doesn't know,
but-
it's very aggressive.
At least it's love.
At least it's
So
honest
true.
there.
Josh,
Yes. It's just going to be a major echo. I cannot.
Like the movie.
Yeah, I like the
Oh,
movie. Movies. Back to the Future holds a very, very special place in my heart. That, like Corey said, I've seen it so many times myself that I can't remember when I first saw it. And despite popular belief, I am not centuries old. I was born in 1985, and so this movie came out when I was a child.
Lies.
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 do you have that little feeling that every time they say 1985, you're like, it's a good year?
That was a good year. A lot of really great
I have
movies
that-
came out in 1985.
I have that feeling anytime someone's
lot of
like,
great
in
people came out
any
in
film or
1985.
anything, they're like 1989. I'm like, oh, what a great year.
They're talking about me.
It's good because I was there. That's why they wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I am Marty no. So it's just a movie that I can watch and watch and watch and really just, I mean, we're going to talk about all three, but it's a trilogy that I can watch and watch and watch. And it was such a joy for those that are listening that go head on over to our Twitch and check out. We did a watch party of all three, and it was just such a joy to watch them back to front and just to experience that again.
Front to back.
With my friends.
Who?
And the audience,
It was-
our listeners and whatnot.
It's like, not you, Tom.
Oh,
No,
Not you.
everybody in this screen but Tom. No.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Lorraine then.
Yeah. She was there. But yeah, I love this
This
movie,
shark.
and I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Yeah.
Next.
all right.
So there you have it. That gives everyone a little bit of a sneak peek of what the ratings were actually, and I think
Well,
Corey's
there's probably not
prediction
gonna
will
be
be
any growth, but all
true.
see.
But now we get to our next two segments, which is going to be our brief synopsis and then the production.
I got this.
Go ahead.
Take it
Take it
away.
away.
A young slacking teenager named Marty befriends a 70-something-year-old scientist / international thief named Dr. Emmett Brown. When the international thief is killed by the people he stole his stuff from, his crimes catch up with him, some might say. He's gunned down, and Marty, in a bit of panic, jumps into the time machine built out of a DeLorean that the doc had built, stealing said product to manufacture and work on. Goes back in time and needs to find the young Dr. Emmett Brown before he's an international thief, and find his way back to the future. Incestuous and comedy things ensue, and Marty succeeds in making sure his parents fall in love, therefore solidifying his future, and using a bolt of lightning that is referenced in a bunch of the beginning of the film is used to send him back to the future. He gets back and finds that there were some changes for the good, and everything is back to normal. At the very end of the film, something needs to be done about his kids.
I love how that brief synopsis, like, you're completely accurate in it.
Yeah.
But it feels so, like, I feel like the way you described it made it sound so much more like badass action adventure than the like slapstick comedy.
An international
of this
spy
movie.
scientist.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa, that's amazing. What is his name? And you're like,
that's one of my favorite. I tried to base it off one of my favorite synopses I ever saw in a TV guide about The Wizard of Oz, where it says a young girl from Kansas murders a twin and befriends 3 other people in the hopes that she can murder again.
Well, I mean, like, on paper, he has agreed to make a bomb for Libyan terrorists or whatever it is.
yeah.
Bolivian.
Spoilers.
I thought it was Libyan. Anyway,
It's Bolivia. It's Bolivians.
I thought it was Libyans. Anyway.
Anyways, let us know.
If
Tom's
it's
gonna use
from, like,
Google
I'm going to find out right now because I don't want to
Yep.
be wrong.
I swear it was Libyan.
But anyways, I'm going to do the production, everyone. So it's distributed by Universal Studios, which gave you such films as the Jurassic Park series, the
know
Fast
that
and
one.
Furious franchise, and Despicable Me, with all the millions and all that, billions of jillions of dollars. Robert Zemeckis is the director who done films like Forrest Gump, Contact, and Welcome to Marwen. Producers Neil Canton, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, The Witches of Eastwick, and Money Train. Bob Gale, who's done films such as Interstate 60, Episodes of The Road, and Used Cars. Bob Gale also helped write the film and also wrote films such as 1941, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and then previously stated Interstate 60. The second writer is Robert Zemeckis, who also helped write I Want to Hold Your Hand and wrote Welcome to Marwen and The Witches of Eastwick.
Witches.
So, cast, Michael J. Fox. You know him from multiple things, but the 3 things I'm going to put in this episode, stay tuned for the next ones, is Family Ties, The Frighteners, and Designated Survivor. Shout out to his
The
Steves.
Frighteners. Oh my god!
Frighteners,
Fun
baby.
fact: there's bloopers where he calls for Doc, and he's like, "Doc, why you keep saying Doc in the bloopers?" And I think it's precious. Anyway,
Christopher Lloyd, second part of the cast, Clue, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and The Page Master. Leah Thompson.
Master.
I know, right? Leah Thompson, Howard, who's worked in Howard the Duck, Some Kind of Wonderful, and Switched at Birth TV show. Crispin Glover, Willard, River's Edge, and American Gods. And Thomas F. Wilson, who plays Biff, who is in the Back to the Future TV show. I didn't even know there was a TV show. DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Aniston in it.
Oh. And also in several of the Tales of Arcadia animated series. The release date for the film was July 3rd, 1985. The runtime is 116 minutes, just shy of 2 hours. And the budget for the film was $19 million, and the gross worldwide was 388.8 million miles per hour.
It flopped.
wow. That's not what that was, but I understand what you did there.
Yeah. The Rotten Tomato score for 96% for critics, 94% for audience. And that's all of the production stuff that I need to tell you about.
I do want to say that I just got a very exciting text from Corey.
Oh yeah,
It's the Libyans.
it's Libyans.
That's so weird.
And it's Jennifer Aniston was not in that. I'm thinking of the Ferris Bueller TV show that she was in. Anyway,
cool, kind of.
fun fact.
But this is a Back to the Future animated series. So now we're already in spoiler territory.
Yeah,
but now
we kind of just jumped the ship a teensy bit on that
yeah,
one.
we blasted through it. So now we go to our favorite parts, which is actually our favorite part of the show, which is going to be our favorite part, favorite characters, and then we're going to do our qualms and then rate it at the very end. So who wants to have at it first?
Me, the beginning.
Okay.
The whole intro with the clocks, the Rube Goldberg machine, the grossness of the dog food, the clocks, the setup
Giant
for
amp.
the amplifier, the alarm going off, the realization that he's late, like just the timing of the entire intro, I feel like
The house
sets
in a
up
parking lot.
Grabbing onto
sorry?
some random person's truck to get to a school.
house- the house is in a parking lot, yeah.
Everything that's done is just so well timed, which feels so appropriate for a movie about time. So
Wow, PBS.
that is definitely a perfect. It was just like a perfect way to start the movie.
It's very subtle too. I like that it's just like the ticking of the clocks, and there's not a lot going on, and it's just
Well, you have the
very,
foreshadowing picture too. For
Right. The
silent film.
picture of the guy hanging off the clock.
Based off I forget what the actor is, but it's a very famous silent film. And the way they shot it back in the
know what
day
you're
was
talking about.
was very, very like state of the art. Like they used this painting in front of a glass that they lined the camera up just right so it looked like he was hanging over a street. Like stories
Safety
about-
Last.
Is that what it's called?
That's the film.
Yeah.
Safety Last.
It's so good. If you haven't checked it out, it's on YouTube for free. Like, go watch it. It's a
1923
wonderful
film.
Wonderful bit of comedy.
I read that like only one of the clocks in that sequence is the actual time or something like that.
Oh,
It was
really?
like actually on time or something like that.
I'm
That's
gonna have to
funny.
rewatch it now.
Makes sense.
Uh,
Makes sense
who's
why
next?
he thought he was late or didn't realize he was late.
Yeah. I'll go next.
Okay.
Probably my absolute favorite is I'm your density.
Jeez.
Yes. And the milk chocolate right before. That
When
whole
he's
scene
just
is wonderful.
Getting his courage to do that. I mean, there's so many good George McFly
Man.
like
And I want to give a
scenes.
shout out to Leah Thompson on this one because she does have and I said it during our stream, she has such a subtle performance that I didn't realize until I got older. Like when he's reading her the poetry, you can see there's a part of her that's like, this is adorable. Like I could be in love with this guy. If Calvin wasn't around, she would be. Like she finds him so endearing, and she even says, she's like, well, he's I think he's cute.
Well, even like when he says Destiny, like she's kind of taken back a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it's not like she's laughing at him about
No.
it. She's like, oh, like
he's sweet.
You figured it out for the both of us. Great.
Well, in
Yeah.
Hill Valley, there's only 3 guys in there. There's Calvin Klein, there's Biff, and there's George. So I mean,
No, there's
as
his,
far
there's
as we
his,
are aware, yes.
Slim
his-
Pickens.
there's also Billy Zane.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that one, Josh. That's a great scene. That's Leah Thompson. Just like I did not give her enough credit for this role growing up because I think it's. I said it in the stream as well, but the scene where she's like a total drunk, and then the minute she starts talking about how they fell in love, she just lights up and becomes this different character, and I think it's wonderful.
And the shot selection really does help out with that performance too. I'll go next because I think we're treading onto it. It's to me, any part with Leah Thompson is my favorite part because the thing is, 1, obviously Bay for Day. 2, as a young kid, like I think this is when I was really starting to be like, oh, I'm starting to be attracted to women. Kind of feel like I watched this at a younger age, but then this was kind of like she's pretty. All the sexual stuff kind of just went over my head, but I was like, she's a really pretty person. But as an adult growing up or juvenile, whatever, seeing and also watching a lot of the interviews that she was saying like, oh, I know what the script is asking me to do. And I know this is like, I get to play a little bit more coy than I actually need to be.
Yeah,
And I think
a little duplicitous.
and that's the fun thing about it is that like, there's so many layers of this, like the mother who thinks she was a prude when she was younger, but it's all a facade. And then when she's younger, she is just like, a typical, at the time frame that they're framing it as, like a high
of
school
hormones, a lot of-
girl.
Yeah,
Who wants to chase boys and go through the the center streets and stuff like that, and
to be asked to dances.
the dances and stuff like that. but then there's that sense of like she gets to be too shy, with Calvin Klein, a complete stranger boy who she thinks is cute, and be more forward, like sleep in my room, blah, blah, blah. And it's even more fun that the fact that she plays his mom. And I think to me, like having that mental gymnastic of like what the things that are operating upon the audience of like, she's coming on really heavy and she also lied when she was an adult, but also this is her son. And so there's so many things going
she
on
drinks
top
and
of it.
smokes. Like,
Yeah, there's all those things happening to it. So like at every moment, you're just like, I think for me,
Who is she?
I'm in love with this.
Who are you?
that's
It's
kind of what
why-
it is the whole
so
time.
why-
You're like, what? Who is she really?
It's why I bought the shirt, baby, and then because also like and I s-
Rain,
I- I s-
Bay.
Bainey. And
B-A-E.
I said it on the stream that I think this is what really kind of turned me on to the ideology that women can be assertive and they could be aggressive and they could be the one that are more forthcoming than the guy has to make the move first. But then she's like, I'm asking you to ask me to the dance. And I was just like, it's so good. It's really enjoyable and it's like fun to watch, I think. And it's also a little bit like nerd fantasy of like, wow, pretty girl wants your attention more than you even want it. But then the reason why he's not going after it because it's his fucking mom. And so it's like, get out of that area.
Don't
Well,
do
like,
it.
that's the
Please
thing. It's
don't
like-
do it.
It's the combination of the writing and her performance because like
Yeah.
this kid, it's such a fine line of like comedy versus creepy, and it could fall into creepy at
yeah.
any moment.
And it
like,
dances
in
that
full
really
creep
well.
mode, right? But it
Yeah.
just dances
Yeah. So well.
so well, yeah,
Um,
and dips into the comedy more, which is like
Mm-hmm.
the point of it or whatever.
I think Corey had a counter during our stream, but any moment Doc Brown.
Oh yeah. man.
His face.
I think Christopher Lloyd is such a gem. I think he's a legend. I from anywhere from Taxi. If you watch his performance, anywhere from Taxi, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, to like, I highly recommend anyone watch The Dream Team. It's not a very well known movie, but it's got Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd. It's got Peter Boyle, who was the Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie, and Christopher Lloyd is just he can play such a zany, over the top character, but like many great comedians, like hearken to like John Candy and stuff like that, can make this switch suddenly where they're just the most endearing and kind of heartbreaking character that you've ever seen. And we see that later in the series, obviously, but and in this one a little bit as well. Like at the very end of the film, when he shows Marty that he actually read the note and stuff like that, and I think anytime Christopher Lloyd is on screen, I think Michael J. Fox is one of the most charming people ever, but I cannot take my eyes off Christopher Lloyd in any of those scenes. I think he's just shines in this. I mean, obviously he shines in this role, but this is just one of those things that he was born to play.
He's so good at saying something and then going blank faced and his eyes are super wide and you can tell that like the inside of his head is like working, so the rest of his body has to shut down because he's thinking too quickly.
Yeah.
So, and he's so good at portraying that perfectly to the point where like even like the way his mouth moves when he's doing like what he should be doing socially, like in the last movie, which I know we're going to get to this later, but like when he smiles and stands for a picture, his shoulders are all up, he's like stiff as a board, and he's like,
Yeah. And and there's little things too, like about how he played this character where it really is, for 99% of the time, science above all else.
yes.
Like he pays
100%.
off a cop. Like he bribes a police officer
It's very
to just
subtle.
leave him alone because it doesn't fucking matter. What matters is making
permit's
sure
somewhere in here.
Marty gets to, and that's the like side of him bribing the cop where you're like, oh, I can see how he ripped off,
Libyans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he totally just committed like international theft, and that's just, in the name of science. It's all in the name of science.
Weather
And also,
experiment.
He became such a like a baller spy out of
Yeah.
nowhere. He's like he's so good at he's like this hapless scientist when he's comfortable and around Marty, but when that cop comes up, all of a sudden he's like, yeah, no worries, man. I got this over
I
here.
mean,
Like be
I mean,
cool.
the funny thing about the film is kind of like there is nothing more powerful than the motivation of a human.
Mhm.
You know, like when Marty has to I have to make sure my existence is guaranteed. Like
Yeah.
I will do anything and everything to make sure that my dad asks my mom out to the dance. Like Doc Brown's like, I will do everything and anything to make sure that the time space continuum doesn't get destroyed. And
That one's kind of a little bit bigger, but
yeah, so
they're all big.
That's actually kind of
we
my
all have
favorite
our own
part.
stakes.
yeah, go ahead,
Is
Ollie.
is him doing the Space Invader sort of thing
Darth
to George.
Oh, yeah.
He said
with
he's gonna
playing-
melt my brain.
Yeah, with playing like Eddie Van Halen and
Yeah.
and then my favorite thing is at the very end when he gets his books or whatever, and it's like influenced off of that. I love the title of the
100%.
book. It's a match made in space.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
here's
love
a-
that
you'll-
whole through line. Of
You'll like
series of
this then,
events.
Ollie. I don't know if you're here for this. I said it earlier, but that scene when he puts the tape in, it very purposely says Edward Van Halen and not the band Van
Yeah.
Halen. Do you know why?
Because he couldn't get the rights for the whole band or something like that. So
yeah, but Eddie Van Halen just did a favor. He was like, "I'll
Yeah.
do that for you,
He'll do
for
it, and then-
Zemeckis," and he just shreds on it for a
shred.
minute.
It's all in
Yep.
Sharpie anyways on the tape,
Yep.
so it just says Eddie Van Halen.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's such. I love when people are just like, "Yeah, I don't care what my label says. I'll just go do that for you," because I think it's cool.
Well, also like it's the one they could be like friend of the film, so it's like that friend thing. So there's that wonderful endearing thing, but also like you get your music in a movie, but then you're stuck in stupid
It's
industry
kind of like
bullshit
the
that you
George
like you
Harrison
can't
and,
get your thing in there.
and Monty Python kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just
Yeah.
It's like I just wanted to see the movie,
yeah,
so I paid for it.
being
Yeah.
a part of something
Yeah.
like this.
I'm also going to sneak in my second favorite part, which
Do it.
is
Nope,
like,
can't do it.
um,
No.
It is because it's technically part of the first movie, which is
Yeah.
where we're going. We don't need roads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, like having watched a movie about time travel where you went back in time and like not
Where'd he go?
necessarily knowing about a second movie and then him saying where we're going, we don't need roads, kind of implies that you're going to be going to the future, or not necessarily, but it's kind of exciting in that way. And that was just a really cool moment. And
Well, I
then,
mean-
of course, when it
And the
lifts off
reveal
it
of the
freaking-
new,
You're just like,
the new
oh.
DeLorean,
Just like-
where you're like,
Oh, yeah.
the flying,
The
and you
yeah.
just like,
And I mean, that's the thing I love about I think good filmmaking is that like again without trilogy making, it's more of like this is what I'm going to talk about, and then there's like the first part of the film is like this is how I'm going to talk about it, and then the later through the film is like I'm talking about it, and at the very end it's like, did you get it yet? And then at the very end of the film, the last lines or last few things is like, now I'm going to get you to a point where you're going to want more, but then
Right.
it's up to me to give you that more, and so that's what I think the film does just as a standalone. It's like wonderfully just so well
to your
done.
point, like, and we've seen that in like another great example is like the first Matrix movie, right? Where it was like super self-contained. It's like,
Yeah.
want more? Let's, maybe go get some more. But like to your point, nowadays it's a little too thought out in the sense of like they like save ideas for another movie, MCU classic villain of this or whatever. But like you
Anything.
miss that sort of let's just give everything we can give because there might not be another movie. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like let's just give it all of our creative energy and all of our cool ideas and
Yeah.
make it work somehow. And then we'll have and then trust
Cool
in
ideas.
that. And if it's successful, that means that we can come up with new ideas, that our ideas are good.
yeah.
So like that's I want to see more of that come back to Hollywood.
You
That
have
would
to.
be cool.
I mean, I talk about it a lot, and I feel like a broken record. But we have to give money to the people who are trying to take risks. We can't do it to the for sure money grabbers.
And we have
Yeah.
to give money to people who want to save the clock tower, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
Save
the
it.
first,
Save the clock tower.
the first GoFundMe.
that was
people.
a good. That was an amazing moment. Also,
I would
It's
say my
interrupted
all-time.
smooch.
Oh yeah, no, that bugs me. I'd be like, get out. Send me your website. I think my very very favorite part is the first when they're filming the time machine for the first time before the Libyans come and shoot Doc Brown.
The Bolivians in my head canon, but the Libyans in reality.
Yeah, I think it's just there's a little moment that we pointed out where he's pointing the car at him and Marty starts to inch away and Doc
Yeah.
just gives him this look like, where the hell do you think you're going? And
Where you
pulls him
going,
back next
Marty?
to him.
Yeah.
And he's
In like some sort of weird suicide pact kind of thing. Like, if this doesn't work, we're both going. But it's just how confident he is that it'll work. And I just think that whole scene is really, like Tom said, really wonderful exposition. It's the most fun I've had learning about the rules of a movie
It's
in a movie.
it's non-expository exposition. Where
Yeah.
you're learning because the character's learning and you need to learn it. And it's not bad to
yes,
learn
yes,
it.
yes,
It's
yes.
the
No,
the series Bible in
Yeah.
a couple of minutes. And
And
it's
it's so wonderfully well done that you don't know you're learning it.
yeah. You don't feel smacked in the face by it. You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate to do this, and Corey is always a big
You're going to.
gatekeeper. I'm going to call it gatekeeper of comparison is the Thief of Joy,
Yes.
but it's something that I think J.J. Abrams could do a little better. It's because it's just like sometimes like I'm parallax shot, and now this is where all the exposition happens. Like, no, stop, just show the thing
Stop.
instead of just, and then it's like have it happen while it's happening, while they're at the thing or something like that.
Yeah.
Which
instead of
Back
being
to
like,
the Future has done very well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
so I
it's
think
it's
that's-
really well done.
That is I think that's the scene that I start getting all the feels in. Like, oh, we're watching Back to the Future. Like this is the part where I'm like, oh man, this is
It's
happening.
starting.
Yeah. So that just left such an impact on me, and it's such a memorable scene. Like,
The funny thing for me, the thing that gets me and what makes me go like, oh, this is like the movie has started in my brain is when he wakes up in Lorraine's bed.
okay. Yeah.
Because it is like a complete like I had this dream. I was in 1950.
They're on my hope chest.
Blah blah, and then it's just the whole in the darkness where he's just like,
Yeah.
oh, blah blah. He's like, you're safe now
Good
in
old
1955, and it's like what? And then it's like, oh, that's the mom. It's like, holy crap! And it's like this is like where like it's just like
It wasn't just
all
a
all the
dream.
balls and all the plates get thrown in the air. You're like,
Also,
oh,
for those
shit.
of you who don't know, hope chests were a very, very real thing.
Yeah.
So
into
explain,
the 60s and 70s. It was basically a chest that you would like. My mom told me about her hope chest where she put like Bon Jovi records and stuff like that, and like things that you would want to come. It's basically like a vision board for the 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would say
That's where,
But it's
that's
such-
where
it's-
you put all your hopes and dreams in your chest.
Yeah.
And like
And-
in a lot of older films, you see like someone going through their stuff and then they crack it open and then like the dust.
It's a
comes
much
out.
more romantic vision board.
It's like the
We'll say
time
it that.
time
Yeah.
capsule that you didn't bury.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And so I think the versions of it exist today, but I think a hope chest is like for me, I'm like that's as a romantic, I was like, oh, the idea of having like a chest full of hopes and dreams is very
Yeah. The superfluous version of
Romantic
that
to
is
me.
like putting his pants next to her hope chest.
putting it
So
on
it.
her hope chest.
On
They're not
her
in it,
chest,
but they are
so
on
that-
it.
On it.
that
Yeah.
you would
Wow.
fall in love with her, maybe.
I want to say one favorite part for sure is just overall music choice and score.
Yeah.
Alan Silvestri music, also Power of Love,
So iconic.
and also Earth Angel and
I
Sandman.
love
all
that Huey Lewis wrote Power of Love basically out of spite and just wanted to.
Want to give us that story, Corey?
Yeah, so the guy who wrote the Ghostbusters theme,
Mm-hmm.
they went to court because he lifted some music from Huey Lewis in the News. And Huey Lewis saw, I don't remember if he won or lost. I haven't looked it up in a while. But I know that he was like, there's a lot of money in writing songs for movies that I lost because of this guy. So I'm just gonna say yes to the next movie that hits my doorstep. And it was Back to the Future. So he was like,
Wow.
I'm gonna fucking write a song for this. And he did. And it's a great song.
Wow.
My one part that's my favorite. So I actually really love the 50s. My dad, I grew up on like oldies but goodies and like hot rods. Like my dad loves hot rods and that kind of era and that kind of stuff. So seeing like the dance and Johnny Be Good. Like I loved the song Johnny Be Good. Just that whole sequence and how it plays out and just the dance and I mean, really, and even just kind of before that and around that zone of when George punches Biff, like that whole dance sequence is just a lot of fun to me. And I love Marty just losing it on the guitar. Like just, it's so much fun to
Out of
kids are
body
gonna love it.
experience.
yeah.
Apparently, they had used in Ghostbusters. They had used a Huey Lewis song as temp music,
Yeah.
and that's why it inspired that song. And apparently, there was no loss or anything, but they settled.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
It was a
I knew
settlement.
they went to court for it. And he was just like, oh, fuck it. I'm going to make my own.
One last for me, favorite quote always is when he goes heavy. And Doc Brown goes, heavy.
Yeah.
There's that word again. Is there something wrong with the Earth's
Earth's
gravitational pull?
atmosphere.
I
Gravitational
love
pull in the
that because
future?
he just like all of the phrases that we say that are just slang that you're like, yeah, out of context.
That does make sense. That it
Like
would
dope.
make sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is everyone using dope nowadays? Why is
Dope. How did that-
As we learn later on, far out. I
Yeah.
don't know. It was right in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can go on and on for favorite parts. Let's do
easy.
favorite characters, and let's do our top 2 characters.
Top 2.
Okay.
I'd have to say Doc Brown for me. I just think he's great. I think Christopher Lloyd deserves all the recognition in the world for his performance in this movie. And then I would have to say, we're doing just main characters essentially.
I said 2 characters.
Okay. Well, then I would have to say Lorraine for sure. She's such a pivotal she's such a pivotal piece in this movie.
Yeah.
And to Tom's point, and like I said earlier, like I just did not give Leah Thompson enough credit when I was growing up, and I think her performance is so layered and so well done in a movie that doesn't necessarily need it, but she did that for us.
She was going for the Academy
me.
Award.
Yeah. Also, Goldie Brown is pretty fucking great.
I'll go flip. Mine is Lorraine, and then it's Doc.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think Doc offers this type of energy that is like unnecessarily a little bit more frantic and manic than Marty needs, but it's what we want. And
Yeah.
Same thing with Lorraine, where it's like, again, it's just so risque, but it's also so endearing to watch.
Yeah. Well, Doc gives
come-
it the urgency that Marty doesn't have, really.
Yeah.
So
And also just he does the best trying to get those cables connected.
that's my favorite scream is when he accidentally pulls the other cable out from under the tree and knows he has to get down there in like 30 seconds. It's
Oh, also, I want to shout out everyone who's playing the Nerd On at Home game. If you aren't watching the VOD of the Twitch stream, go watch it because I want you to get to the part when Doc gets up to that clock tower and Caitlin, in her fucking hubris, is like, and she goes, really? He gets scared of that? Then I was like, Caitlin, we played the
have it on
tutorial.
record.
We played the tutorial of Kingdom Hearts, and you fucking
I
jumped
think
out
Tom
of your
and
seat.
Josh both have ripped shirts because
We have video evidence of a door opening and you going, "Ah!"
It's
Not wrong?
And so wait, so the 70, no, not at this point, he's like what, 50-year-old man, climbs up a clock tower, breaks into the actual outward scaffolding, lightning strike, it's windy as shit, and there's a Jaguar Panther thing statue
Mouth
that
open.
meets him in the front, and you're gonna be like, really? And then we're on Paradise Island. You're a little boy in swim
Anyway,
trunks, and you're
who's
jumping
next?
on a bridge.
I'll go next.
Caitlin, who are your favorite
So,
characters? Caitlin, get her out of there.
Literally golf paradise.
I mean, my immediate thoughts are like Doc and Marty because they're great.
Yeah.
But I'm
great.
very called as my second because Doc is first. But my second, I kind of want to make it Biff
Yeah, he's so
because
I also
want to
give a shout out to that actor for just like bringing it through this series and playing like 6 different Biffs and
Yes.
like giving them each a unique and memorable characteristic.
But
like-
And in real
But
life,
you
being a
hate-
really nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like super
He's like
down to
John-
earth.
he's like
hate,
Joffrey from the
all
50s.
of them. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing to be like, you know,
just I can hear him in my head. Mr. McFly,
oh
package
yeah,
came in.
I'm just putting on the second coat now.
No, when he comes
Now
in
Biff.
with the books. When he comes in with the books and he's just so excited. He's like, "Oh, Mr. McFly. It's here."
But yeah, like he did such a good job at being someone who's like just not redeemable.
effortlessly evil.
attempted
Effortlessly
rapist.
evil.
We effortlessly hate him.
And a
Yeah.
and a murderer,
You're not wrong.
attempted murderer.
Like, to
he
me,
has no problem like being this awful person, and that's just like, oh yeah, if I can get away with it, then great. Like
what always encapsulates me as like what a shitty person says is what I hear from him is saying, "Looky what we have here," and I'm just like, I just want to,
Apparently, he improvised the catchphrases, getting the catchphrases wrong. By the way,
oh,
and they just kept it through the through line.
Yeah. Make like a tree and get out of here.
Get out
Yeah.
of here. And Butthead was his own improvisation as well,
wow.
Nice.
which I thought was like
Butthead.
Yeah.
The
So
two
so
things.
don't
Dude's
be
got it.
misconstrued
Dude's
in
got
that
it.
like
Yeah.
favorite character and that like, oh, I love him, so dreamy. No. He's
It's more
a
like what
terrible
the actor
person.
brought to it.
Yeah,
my
what the
gosh.
actor brought to that character, like I feel like if
It's
that
dare
wasn't
watch.
this actor, I don't think it would have been the same.
I agree 100%. I
Like
think
I don't think anyone else. could have
someone's
played
got to
that
be the
role that way.
villain. Why not do it well?
Yes,
Mhm.
and it was done very well.
Yeah.
Ollie or yeah.
Josh?
I'll go. My favorite top is Doc Brown. But my second is going to be George McFly.
You have
I
multiple
just-
tops
Mm,
for your bottom? Okay, go
Yeah.
on.
I knew
Yeah,
Tom
yeah.
was going to go there. That's why I was smiling because I was like, Tom's going to make a joke.
Yep. He's going to make
Tops
a joke.
and bottoms.
Josh is a power
George.
bottom, everyone listening.
Young George.
Yeah, a young George
Young
McFly. I can't help but seeing myself in high school of just being nervous around girls
Oh.
and just like, he's trying and he's
You have-
smart.
you have your
and
little
he's
notepad,
he's
be like,
just-
He's the perfect casting for that. I
Yeah.
will say though, opposite of Biff, everyone on the set said he was very strange and very uncomfortable to be around.
yeah.
oh,
Talk about the
really?
character, not the actor. The actor's a strange
This
guy.
is I'm saying it's the opposite of Caitlin's thing, where it is the character.
yeah.
I agree.
Oh.
I agree. I think Crispin Glover, as off whatever he was off screen, brought such a heart to this character that you really do root for him the entire time. From the minute you meet him in the diner,
Yeah.
and him and Marty are both doing the head scratch thing. I just think it.
I don't
They
know,
both turn
man.
At the exact
When-
same time.
When Caitlin's favorite part of when they're having dinner.
Oh yeah,
No.
it's so good.
I
Dude, he
dislike
nails
that laugh.
older
so
George McFly.
strongly.
And
But
he
it's
is
the-
snacking
it's
on
the-
peanut
he's
brittle or something while he's
Yeah,
eating dinner,
peanut
right?
brittle.
Yeah.
He
I
just
thought so.
and how he pours,
Pours it,
like
it just
the entire
crumbs
box
everywhere.
of peanut
He just-
brittle everywhere.
he just nature
and immediately
valleys it.
shoves it in someone else's face.
It's Marty's face, and
then
Marty goes no, and he immediately takes it back and just starts like.
takes it back, starts eating it, immediately ignores everyone, looks at it, and is just like hanging off and like. Like it sounds like you're dying.
Yeah,
It made me
and
so
I love when she asks
so
him,
uncomfortable.
What were you doing in that tree? Was it bird watching?
What?
Oh yeah.
I don't have an answer because I was watching you.
I was watching you
your
change.
underwear on.
Also, can I just give a shout out to the dad? Another one of these kids jumped in front of my car.
Another one.
Another one.
kid.
How many has he hit?
Also, that
That
also
means,
means
a bunch of boys are peeping toms in
Yes.
that neighborhood.
but also Lorraine is a babe. So
and
Yeah,
she's
she is.
changing with her windows open. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
On purpose.
On purpose.
how many
hey,
boys
Oreo
did she
chest
is
have
by the window.
over for dinner and she put her hand on their leg?
Ali?
My favorite character is Doc, number one, for all the reasons that we've stated. But I just want to give a shout out, and I feel like deserves to be a character, and it's the courthouse. I feel like
Oh,
it's
the
such
clock
a
tower.
pivotal. What's that?
Did
clock
you
tower.
choose
Yeah, the
a
yeah
place?
Yeah.
yeah. I chose a place.
Okay.
You're
It
talking
is
about, like, the
kind
whole
of
square.
actually when you think
A
about
Just
character.
the building. I mean, the
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of like outer facade of the sort of building with the clock tower. Just like when you think of the courthouse / clock tower. What
I mean,
see
when
in
you
your
think
mind's
about
eye.
it in this trilogy, it is a defining
really
piece
is.
of this trilogy.
And I
that,
didn't even notice it. We'll talk about it in the next episode, but I didn't even notice for the longest time that Biff's tower is like built on top of the courthouse.
Yeah. If you
Like,
ever
you
go
don't-
to Hollywood Horror Nights, they turn that into a maze,
The Biff
or
Tower.
you get to go right by it. Shout out to my friend Carly, who got to be on a House MD. They did an entire scene in that front of the
Yeah.
courthouse, and she was like, it's the coolest thing to be there.
But it's like there are so few places where like, or a few movies where like a place or like a building is such like an important iconic thing that
I
it
agree,
sort of
yeah.
changes throughout the movies. And so yeah, I
You
wanna
okay,
do that.
Caitlin?
I'm like now picturing the clock tower as like as a character in this series.
Mhm.
And we're basically like seeing the first movie is the clock tower at the end of its life. The clock tower and the second movie is in the middle of its life. And then the clock tower in the third movie is the beginning of its life, like when the clock tower is born. I never
Yeah.
thought about that, but now I am.
like, but
It's,
now I
Well, the
can't.
first movie would be
think
the
of it.
middle of
Story.
its life, right? Because they rebuild it. They fix the clock tower.
Right.
And then it's fine by the second movie in
Right.
the future. So that would be the continuing onward forever. Time
Wow.
travel.
in time.
We're going back.
Quams?
To the clock
So
tower.
qualms.
You know I have one.
Which one is it?
I spoke about it so much during the stream, how much it bothers me that they suggest that a white man
Oh,
wrote
okay.
Johnny Be Good
Yeah.
and Chuck Berry fucking stole it.
Yeah. Not a fan of that.
maybe they were like Huey Lewis would understand us.
Oh yeah. It just to this day is like a
What are you talking about? Didn't you watch La La Land? That happens all the time.
I was
White
about to say, it's like La La
people.
Land.
and-
yeah. How'd I
and-
feel about La La Land, Tom?
and jazz and hip hop. That
A white
The
guy
unfortunate
saves
thing-
jazz. I got it.
The
A
unfortunate
white
thing
guy
was
and an
probably
actress
just like an
save
innocent.
jazz.
It was probably just like an
Um,
innocent thing the writer like threw in, not thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I
about
think
any
it
of that,
came
but
from
yeah.
them loving that song and being like, "Oh, well, we'll just put that it's Marvin Berry." But the context, if you just take a
Yeah.
a second to think
Just
about
take
what
another
you're
extra
insinuating,
minute.
Yeah.
You know.
It's one of those. This is one of the things that don't age well. You know.
Yeah.
It's
yes,
Yo.
you know, like I think, talking about other films that we've covered over, like that are older films that have like things like cross-dressing and stuff like that. Like those don't age that well in context nowadays.
Sure, yeah,
And so like it's interesting to see like where like under scrutiny, certain things can happen.
Yeah.
So it's
it doesn't break the movie for me. It's just one of
Yeah.
those things where you're like, ooh,
Hmm?
because it's a quick thing and then it moves on. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you're just like, yikes.
Yeah. To add to that, like it's not a qualm, but it's something that we did talk about of like the whole like, so this timeline that Marty has now established is intact. So now he will be named Marty in the future, and he will have parents who have met him in the past, and
Named
also,
Marty / Calvin Klein.
Yeah, and it's a logic gap to me. It's not to me like it breaks the movie, but
But what's
if
interesting
you
is
really
Bob
want
Gale,
to, it kind of
Bob Gale went on record this year, just a couple of months ago, to explain that.
Mhm.
Oh,
of, like,
go for
his-
it. Let's hear it.
Really?
And this is, I'm just going to read because I really like the way that he explains it. He says, bear in mind that George and Lorraine only knew Marty / Calvin for 8 days when they were 17. And they did not even see him every one of those 8 days. So many years later, they still might remember that interesting kid who got them together on their first date. He continues, but I would ask anyone to think back on their high school days and ask themselves how well they remember a kid who might have been at their school for even a semester, or someone you went out with for just one time. If you had no photo reference after 25 years, you'd probably have just a hazy recollection. So Lorraine,
I want
George,
to. Go ahead.
That's just
No, go for it.
I just
Yeah,
think it's
no, no,
funny
no.
that after 35 years, he's like, oh, I'm going to say something.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom. Yours
so-
is probably well more formed than me. But
Well, no, it's not even like let me talk about it, but I'm going to attest to that because I'm going to tell everyone in the Nerd On world, I helped 2 people get married. And
Aw.
those motherfuckers didn't even invite my ass. So this is what
Bitter?
had happened. I had known the dude for all my high school career, and he was an Asian dude, so we was homies just at the gate. And when we graduated high school, we still kept in contact. And then after high school, like so he was him and his family members were all like spreading apart because they were all going to colleges and stuff like that. And it became this thing because I was like the director boy to like do a video project with all my friends who were like leaving. And I was like, what do you want to do? Like, we should do something together. And he's like, let's shoot like a music video. And so like this is early YouTube when you can get away with that shit.
Mhm.
And we shot a music video to a song. And I was like, hey man, this is what you want to do. Do you want to bring in, somebody to be like your opposite or something like that? We can craft a story. We crafted this whole fucking story, shot all these things, took like 3 weeks and all that shit. And he was like, I don't know. And then I was like, let me ask some friends. And I literally brought in this girl that I never met. And I was like, you're just going to do these things and all these parts and all that stuff, small directing, producing. Afterwards, they started dating. And then after that, they got engaged. And after that, they got married. And then I'm just like, if I never made that thing with you, you would never have been together. But you don't even remember me. So I'm just so upset sometimes. I'm just
Sorry,
like,
you were the Calvin Klein.
yeah.
So
Which
here's
was
only
totally
there
fine.
for a minute.
Here's my rebuttal to this whole thing is that I could maybe understand that maybe they don't remember the kid that they spent a week with that got them together. However, as we established in the beginning of the film, Lorraine remembers very vividly details about how they got together and fell in love. so she's not a slacker on her memory. I also would argue that if you were to show me the spitting image or a picture of someone who helped me and my wife get together, such
It
as
would come
maybe my
back.
kid
would
looking
immediately
identical and being
recognize.
named the same thing, I would also remember. You also can't tell me that Biff doesn't remember the guy who ruined his car, even though when he's old Biff, he remembers the manure in the car and everything. This is also the guy that punched him when he was already knocked out,
Well-
who he chased around the school. Like, I love what Bob Gale's saying, but like too many
Well, I'm also
people.
gonna say
the
this,
parents
too.
would remember the weird kid who he hit with his car, because that's like a weird insurance thing. You kind of almost committed vehicular manslaughter.
I want to also add to there's a thing
Too
that
many things.
they introduced to this film, which I think is a really cool mechanic called like I called it like time echoes or time totems, where like
Oh,
the
yeah.
picture, right, it phases away as Marty like starts losing his connection to the future.
What does he tell Lorraine and George? Hey, if you have a kid
Yeah.
and he
I
burns
said that during the stream.
he burns the carpet. So obviously that shit happened. So they remember, I remember a piece of advice, but I don't remember who said it. But I'm going to make sure I do it because you know what? It happened. And so it's a little
Also, you're
like,
telling me you don't remember the guy who fucking crashed the night you fell in love with a weird ass guitar solo and literally brought the room to a standstill? I would tell that story for years. Every
Also,
kid
he-
in that school would remember that story.
also,
he
Go ahead.
he was no longer in school after the dance.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, what happened to the kid? So you would probably have, it would probably be it'd stand out a little bit more as that weird kid who like got us together and like disappear off the face of the earth.
yeah.
Yeah.
And was
So-
like aggressively, if anything, I would almost think that George would have been like, oh my God, that was the alien.
Yeah, I also would argue that Lorraine, when telling the story, would be like, well, this guy Marty did take me to prom first, but I ended up going
Yeah.
home with your father. There's too many, Josh. It's
I was gonna say,
Going
I'm
crazy
just
over here.
reporting
Yeah,
what he
he-
said. It's
I
not
know.
my point.
I think
I know.
it's a wonderful gesture, but I do like actually how Matt Groening did it in Futurama. In Futurama, he just became his own grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, cut the loop. It's like,
Because to him, time is, in that world, though, time is not linear.
no, genetically, he is his own grandpa.
Right.
Yeah. But then
But-
she in her journal has
Because
always
time
said-
isn't linear. It's a
circular.
Loop, meaning he
Yeah,
could be his own grandpa and
Yeah.
still exist, as
Yeah.
opposed to like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that. Any other qualms?
Any other qualms?
No.
Here's the thing, though. It doesn't bother me because
Oh,
it's suspension of disbelief. So, like, don't remember him. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah, there is some.
The suspension of disbelief is real strong in this movie.
We're already going
Real
back in
strong.
time.
Yeah, there are some continuity errors here and there, but again, that doesn't
Yeah.
break the film for me. But that was something like.
Some
She already
things
put the cup
about
down.
The Libyans bothered me a little. I don't know. I can't.
Did
quite
you not
place
like
my-
that they were blinged out in like jewelry?
I don't know what it was.
That
They-
silver ring got me.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
they
damn.
were particularly cartoony, which made the violence feel less violent.
Which it maybe needed to be for a family film.
Right.
I mean, also-
So-
No
Yeah.
blood either.
It's a 16-year-old kid who's just witnessing an old
We
man
were
getting
also at war
gatted.
during that time. Pretty
Yeah.
intense
To
war.
be fair, like for the time, it would have been like Chinese or Russians or you know what I mean. Like it would have been like it wouldn't have been better if it was any other. Like they would have picked a race or a group. You know.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's,
he
yeah,
picked, he picked the one that we were at war with during 1985.
it's caricatures. It's it's like Russian red and yellow, yellow fear, whatever the hell you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's,
Let's just stick to Nazis.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Always
that's-
easy.
that feels-
That's
Universal.
always easy for me.
I think the
Yeah.
thing that it's gotten played out so much because
Nazis
it's
are
so
the Biff
bad.
of history.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're just unequivocally
Yeah.
evil.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Effortlessly, you hate them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have no more qualms. Now we get to the rating.
Rating. So it's you guys hash it out, and I'll just sit
I
here.
think just do it since there's so many of us. Just do it alphabetically.
All right, Ollie.
Caitlin, me, Tom.
Mine's a 5.
Ooh,
just- about
Boom.
all the
5
reasons.
from Ali.
5 from Ollie. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Kaylin.
It's a 5.
Okay, 5.
I paused for
Okay.
dramatic effect. But
Good.
that was
Josh?
it.
Our audio listeners like that.
Yeah.
5.
Go ahead, Josh.
5.
For Josh.
Okay.
Wow.
Tom.
It's a 4, 5.
It's a 5. Okay.
A 4-5?
I'm sitting pretty at just a 5.
5.
So
Okay.
So actually, you were right.
Yeah, you were right. It's not a
You
choice.
technically were right.
technically, but I was bound by the rules of the game, so
Yeah.
no
Yes.
one's right. No
It-
grump this
no
week.
grump.
Or
It's
we're
no
all the
grump.
grump.
It's like Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Well, Okay, so Nerd on Nation, I feel like we're gonna have to like discuss of why you thought I was gonna be the grump.
Kaylin,
Because
no,
you pick
no.
things that like all of us go, what? To be the thing that you're like,
Technically,
that's the
hey,
thing
I
that
wanna give
ruined
a
it for me. And you're
I
like,
do want to give the shout out though, because technically they were right.
Oh yeah.
Right? Or I guess
What?
everyone would get a shout out who voted because.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll give a shout out to Dana P, Mitchell G, Charlotte G, Mora, and Matt R. You guys were all right. we
All right,
were the grump,
and
or we all
all
weren't the
wrong
grump.
at the same time. It's like a time space
Wow.
continuum. Oh, real quick, I do want to just do a little linorama of some things. Mayor, I should run for mayor.
I was surprised that wasn't your favorite part. Tom quotes that an obsessive amount.
No, the thing is, the film has too many things, and also like the moment where George McFly puts the fist together, left hand swings at Biff. It's such a wonderful moment.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the
Spins him around.
the tension's happening, and then you hear the magical.
You see him push her down, and he like looks at her and is like overcome.
I just love,
Yeah,
I
it's
love
like
that
full
moment
like
because
360.
he's such, it's just his courage. Everything in him, like his courage is finally coming.
We get it,
And
Josh.
it's
It's
for
you. We
this-
get it.
You're
You
Marty
said
and
it. You said it. I'm only using it.
I mean, you did say it.
Also, the part where like George also is about to lose Lorraine again, and like gets into himself again, and then Marty's dying and his hand's disappearing. And then like when he actually like pushes the kid down, and then Marty comes back up, and it's just like full jolt. The camera moves with him, and it's like the music comes back up. You're like, oh, it's like, hey, okay, we're good. We're in a good place. And then the Johnny Be Good moment is just like a victory lap feel of the moment of like they're gonna win, and then he gets immediately killed with like, you have to get here quick. It's like, oh shit, we're not there yet. We're not
man.
out of the woods. And so
All
there's
right.
a wonderful amount of tension that like it's not gonna happen. Tension is not gonna happen.
I gotta shout out the extreme tension leading up to the like lightning bolt. Because for those that were there at the stream, I was freaking out.
Kayla,
I was
it's
like,
been a
I know
couple
it's gonna
years
be
since you
fine, but I'm
watched
very
it.
upset.
And it that'll happen when you don't watch a movie like this for a
Didn't quite
couple
remember
years,
that
and
sequence.
it's a masterclass in tension that last little bit.
Oh yeah.
Ugh,
It can get you.
I
heart rate
also,
so high.
I like that we all noticed that, like, and I had never noticed it until that we were watching it on the stream, that Doc gets electrocuted for like a second.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He gets shocked.
There's a moment where he like, it doesn't all the way connect. And for
And
some
I-
reason, the one line that always gets me, that I always love, is when it's the new future, or the new present, I mean. And
Mm-hmm.
George McFly, when he's responding to Biff, when he goes, "Now Biff," like, just for
Don't
some reason,
con
the way
me.
that he delivers it, it cracks me up.
to be fair, Biff was conning him.
Yeah.
Biff's a piece of shit through and through.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, I mean, I was just starting the second coat. All right.
I feel like Doc getting electrocuted for like a second actually feeds into my theory
Shocked. If he's electrocuted, he died.
that Doc Brown is Doctor Who's dad. And we'll get there in the coming episodes.
Got you. Oh, I think I know what you're gonna say.
Doctor
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Yeah. The doctor.
Yeah.
It's only
You're
been
gonna tell
around
us
for
about
over
Dr.
50
Who.
years.
Well,
get
everybody,
here.
thank you so much for
No,
on
sing us
that.
out.
Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening to episode 1 of our 3-episode mega anniversary mega event. A lot of movement. But yeah, thank you so much. I mean, really, thank you for the past 3 years, for being a part of this journey. If you're new to Nerd On, welcome. Thank you for listening to this. Also, check out our
About
website,
time.
nerdon.
You can go, Tom.
He's allowed in this episode.
Yeah, that's
That was good though. That was good.
oh,
Corey, no, don't encourage him.
Okay, so thank you so much for listening. Check out our website. Do consider joining the Nerd On Nation. That is powered by Patreon, nerdon.tv/Patreon. Like I have said many times before, it does allow us to keep growing, to keep consistently making content, and keep upping our
Getting
quality.
better.
Keep going in the future.
Join that Discord. It's a lot of fun over there, and topics range from anywhere from movies to TV shows to food to gardening to all sorts
Comic
of fun
books.
stuff. There's even like a meme channel, which is a lot of fun to hang out in.
Memes on memes on memes.
I thought you
Memes
said
on
mean.
There's
But
also
you
a
said
meme challenge.
No,
Mean?
if it wasn't super
Everyone's-
clear, like
Yeah.
we have 2 more episodes that we're releasing this week.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
if
stay
you're new,
tuned.
If you're new to Nerd On, we do
Subscribe.
this annually on
Rate
our,
us, comment us,
Yeah,
or
on our
comment on us.
anniversary week, we like to release a trilogy of episodes honoring
Yes.
a trilogy that we love.
Because this is the
So-
time to do it.
This is it.
Well, it's about
Fucking
that
love it.
time.
I love it so
Um,
much.
Thank you so much for listening. As Corey said, and do stop by, rate and review us. It does help us. But yeah, that's been it. Episode 1. Check out the next episodes tomorrow and the day after that. You know the drill. As always, nerd on.
121 gigawatts.
Ending broadcast.